Demon Knights number 10, written by Paul Cornell, art by Diogenes Nevis. This issue picks up right after the last issue where they're attacked by a sea serpent while sailing the sea to get to Merlin in, was it Avalon, I think? I don't know. Regardless, turns out this sea serpent was actually a pirate sea serpent, meaning some pirates are riding it and using it as their ship. And they call over and they're like, hey, surrender all your stuff or we'll kill you. And then Horsewoman shoots a arrow at the main pirate guy, and he's like, all right then, sea serpent, attack. And then Algibeir is about to try to fight it with some string or something, but then Xanadu is like, okay, get me all the rope that we have. And she magically enchants the rope so that it ties itself around the mouth of the sea serpent. And then she directs it over towards Vandal Savage, who just uppercuts it, just straight Shoryuken right to the face, and just knocks all the pirates off of it. And he's just like, ha ha ha, Vandal Savage is the greatest again. And everyone's like, okay, maybe there is a reason to have Vandal around. He's pretty good about that. And so they pull up some pirates out of the water and say, here's the deal. We will take you onto our boat and let you live if you use your sea serpent to keep away all other things that are coming after us until we get to our destination. To which they do, which is nice enough. But then when they arrive at the port, all of them are, tied up and they're being brought out as prisoners because, pirates or whatever. And Jason Blood is there and he presents them to the local sheriff or whatever, and he's like, here's some criminals or whatever. We come bearing the seal of Albacerum. And they're like, oh, well then please come on in. And they show up, and apparently this is modern day Cornwall, or at least, what is now Cornwall. And they're just saying oh, in my day it was called this, and in my day it was called that, but now it's Cornwall. And they are talking about there's some weird stuff going out on the seas. Maybe we should stick to the shores. And then this local shows up and he's like, hey, give me a pint and I'll tell you all about the story of what's going on. I'm not going to continue that accent, but he basically tells him that out in the sea has been growing and growing with more and more monsters, which, is not good. And every once in a while someone try to take advantage, like those pirates, and use it when it gets beached in order to use it for their own thing. But then also on the land, giant beasts and giant creatures are also constantly attacking them and are taking all this land up because everyone's just forcing to flee from their homes. So yeah, a lot of bad stuff pretty much all over the place. And they're trying to figure out what's going on, and Jason's like, well, if we're going to fight some monsters, we're going to need one. So he summons Etrigan, and they make their way out onto this wide open field, and they are almost immediately jumped by a giant wolf who starts attacking them. And everyone, Xanadu, she tries to make a spell, doesn't work out. Etrigan brought into the jaws of the beast, and he's like, I mean, it's hurting me, but it's not awful. No, Savage and Exoristos aren't able to break through the hide. Algibeir is not able to do anything. Horsewoman can't find any weak point at all. And then Shining Knight, Sir Yiston, just jumps down off of his Pegasus and stabs the wolf in the head and just kills it. No problem. And Exoristos is like, Sir Yiston, that was, and he's like, incredible. And she's like, arousing. And he's like, oh, all right. Wasn't expecting that one. So it starts melting and transforming back into its original form, which was just a normal wolf. So that was something. Meanwhile, a day passed. They're all riding a bit deeper in. Now they're in some swamplands, which used to be the lakes that the Lady of the Lake would take King Arthur across at the beginning of the book. And they're just kind of talking about okay, so these creatures, it seems like they're just getting to their essence, their nature. The wolves are becoming more savage, whereas the deer nearby are becoming just flashes of energy. They're more skittish. They're just their primeval, essential nature. And so maybe that's the issue. But anyway, they cross over a hill and they finally see a giant tower standing where Camelot was. And they're like, well, that's changed a lot. But before they can attack, they hear this roaring, groaning noise. And Xanadu's like, wait a minute, I recognize that voice. And it is zombified King Arthur who's shown up here. And Etrigan's like, holy shit, dude, it's King Arthur. What's going on, man? And King Arthur's trying to attack the group. And he's like, hey, cut it out. And then he starts melting away the same way that the wolf did, but in his place, like the smoke expands and it starts enveloping the whole group. And everyone except for Xanadu, it seems, are being transformed into these much like larger beast versions that are the essential like versions of themselves. So that's what they're gonna have to fight off next issue. So yeah, it's a little bit confusing. It's not the most straightforward issue. It definitely feels like it took a left turn somewhere. Like, because of all the dinosaurs and crap like that in the first arc, you told me sea serpents were out in the ocean. I'm like, yeah, no, that makes sense. That tracks 100%, which is why I didn't even, like, it didn't bother me last issue. But now they're saying that that's weird. Now they're saying it's weird that there are so many sea serpents and also, like, land beasts. And that it's actually magic. And I'm like, so were the dinosaurs magic? I don't understand what is and is not magic here. So a little bit confusing on just their world building, but I do like the story they're telling. Vandal Savage, always a treat. Never going to turn that down. They also did some pretty good stuff with Horsewoman here, because I guess her curse is that she can't like touch the ground or like stand or anything like that. So she always has to be riding a horse. But when they're on the ship, clearly you can't ride a horse. So they like just had Exoristos holding her the whole time. It was fun little sight gags. But no, it's a fine book. I give it a 7. Art's also very good. It's just, I don't know. I feel like they set up a lot in terms of world building over the past like 10 issues. They've done a really good job with that. And then this one, it just kind of feels like, oh, but wait, that's not normal? Okay, then what is normal? Because in a world where magic is just a thing and there's dinosaurs running about, seems pretty normal.